Hello, this is Charles Ellis with Libdata, and I'd like to introduce you to our software. As you can see by the slide here, we are typically our software is typically used in public libraries and some school libraries, but mainly in public libraries. But why do public libraries need time and print management? And the answer is that every public library nowadays, if you go to any one of them anywhere in the country, you'll see that they have a certain number of public accessible computers. It's just something that they've decided over the years that they would provide to the communities. And they quickly found out when they started providing these that they needed to have some kind of management over them as far as managing the amount of time, the order in which people are going to get onto computers, and also managing the printing to keep people from who mean to print one page maybe end up printing 100 pages. And to be fair to the patrons, they have to control those computers, and to be able to control the amount of money they spend on printing, they have to also control the printing. Libraries nowadays, probably 50% or so of the library's traffic is going to use the public computers. A typical library might have 10 to 50 or so public Windows-based desktop computers. Normally, and especially the medium to larger size libraries, they might be divided up into several different areas, i.e. adults, youth, children, areas. And each one of those areas will usually have different times. Some children may get 30 minutes while adults get an hour. And so our software will allow them to divide them up into computer zones and to be able to assign how much time each computer in those areas receives, or each patron receives when they get on the computer. Librarians don't necessarily like having to provide this service. They just consider it one of the necessary evils of today's um, libraries, and they spend a significant amount of their budget and time on supporting a group of Windows-based computers. Um, they do spend a lot of time helping patrons navigate the internet, filling out forms online, and print properly, and that keeps their staff quite busy during a normal day. All right, let's look at how the software works. Typically, the way they're set up is when a patron enters a public library and goes into the computer lab area, they would look for an open computer, one that nobody's sitting at, and they would sit down, enter their library card number into the little box on the screen, or a guest account number. Our software will support either. So a person who comes in maybe doesn't have a library card, they'll allow them to get on for a certain amount of time. After entering this number, the management software will query the library's database and determine if the patron is allowed to use a computer, i.e. the card's not expired, there's no overdue fines, there's no overdue items, and no other blocks for any other reason, and the patron's age. It can look at the birth date from the database and determine if the patron is allowed to use an adult computer or a child's computer or whatever. If the patron is authenticated and allowed, they are given a set amount of time on the computer. Our software would display at that point a clock on the screen that would show them how much time they have left, and typically the patrons are allowed to extend their time if other computers are available, and our software kind of controls all that also. A waiting list computer is also used when all the computers are full to make sure that patrons are assigned a computer in order that they signed up. And so if a patron walks in and all the computers are full, there's typically another computer, or maybe the staff helps them get their name onto a managed waiting list. The printing is controlled by the management software also. Whenever someone prints, a notice will pop up on their screen stating, you're about to print so many pages at such and such cost. And if the patron clicks OK, then the print job will go and be queued at the staff computer or the management computer, and the staff can either release it after the patron comes up and pays for it, or the patron can go to a release computer and put money into a vending system and release their own print jobs. Okay, problems that libraries are seeing nowadays with the present implementations is typically they're highly IT intensive. Again, updating Windows and managing a large group of Windows computers and all the local programs such as Adobe, ActiveX, Microsoft Office, those kinds of things, updating the browsers, all that has to be done. And also there's a need for disk protection. You want to allow the patron to be able to do some stuff on the computer, but you want to make sure that when the next patron comes in that all the history is erased. So they have disk protection software, typically Phoronix, Deep Freeze, Secure Shield, some of these other softwares that are available. We do not sell that type of software, but there are third parties or other companies that do and do a very good job of it. And so we work with those software packages so that when the patron's job is finished, we allow the computer to reboot so that the disk protection software can put a new image on there and erase everything that was done from the previous patron. They also have a need for virus protection to obviously keep the viruses out, setting up and maintaining printers and drivers. The high cost of just replacing Windows-based computers can be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 to replace a computer. Maintaining server for management software, backing up patron print accounts, patrons that have money in their print accounts will need that also. So there's a lot of maintenance that has to be done with the present Windows-based implementations. Okay, let's look at how a Chrome device can help solve some of these issues. One thing is the Chrome device is completely online. There are no local programs to necessarily update. No need for disk protection, no need for virus protection, inexpensive hardware. You can get Chrome devices from $100 up to $500 or $600, or actually more than that. But typical Chrome device, Chrome box, is about $150 or so. IT support costs are greatly reduced because all the IT support is done online through the cloud, and typically you don't have to do all the updating, the print drivers, all that kind of stuff that normally has to be done with the Windows computer. With Libdata Cloud, our new product, the print accounts are maintained in the cloud also, and also the whole control management tool is out in the cloud, so there is no need to actually install anything at the local library. No additional hardware needed as far as servers or anything like that. All computer management is cloud-based, and the computers are actually completely portable, so you can move them from location to location and not have to worry about a local network. Okay, a couple of screenshots you can see with the upper left screen here. This is typically what the management tool shows. It will show each computer in the library. It'll show the status of that computer. Screen means that it's ready for someone to log into it. In use obviously means that somebody's sitting at it. You can see the time left, the amount of time they've been on the computer, and you can click on any of these items on the screen here. If I wanted to change how much time the patron has left, I could click on that. I could click on the user here and actually update the user's information. What the patron would see when they sit down to a computer is a screen similar to this one at the lower right, which has a logo of the local library. It has some announcements that can be done from the management tool and put on each of the Chrome devices. It has a login screen. Instead of the MAC address here, it's actually going to have a computer name. We have a table that a text file where they can associate a computer name with the MAC address, so that actually doesn't show up in reality. And so that kind of gives you a good quick introduction to what our software does and why it's needed in libraries. Thank you for your attention.